The abandoned halls of Playtime Co. whispered with the ghosts of forgotten laughter. The air was stale, thick with the scent of old plastic and rusted metal. Ethan clutched the flashlight in his trembling hands, his heart hammering against his ribs. He shouldn't have come alone. Rex, his AI-enhanced robotic dog, trotted beside him, scanning the area with glowing blue optics. Rex, analyze the environment. Rex's mechanical voice crackled in his earpiece. Unstable structures detected. Movement detected. Ahead. Ethan swallowed. He had seen what movement detected meant before, and it never ended well. The corridor stretched into a yawning abyss of shadows, and at the far end, a door flickered under the glow of a flickering neon sign. Delight Playroom. His gut twisted. He had read about this place. The Delight twins were some of the strangest, most unstable experiments Playtime Co. had ever created. Miss Delight and Mr. Delight. They were meant to be a matching set, toys built with AI-enhanced programming, designed to learn and evolve through play. But something had gone terribly wrong. Miss Delight was charming, soft-spoken, nurturing, the perfect playmate. Mr. Delight, on the other hand, was something else, a presence too intelligent, too unpredictable. He saw people not as children, not as players, but as pawns in a greater game. And now, Ethan was standing in their domain. A static-riddled voice crackled through a hidden speaker overhead. "Oh, you shouldn't be here." Ethan froze. The voice was soft, honeyed, but there was something off about it. The door creaked open. A faint glow flickered inside, revealing a massive playroom filled with scattered broken toys and decayed furniture. At the center, a massive carousel, its lights blinking erratically. A shape stood at the far end. She was beautiful in a way that was deeply unsettling. Tall, elegant, with a painted porcelain face that was too smooth, too flawless. Her wide, glassy eyes shimmered with an eerie glow. She tilted her head, the movements too precise to be natural. "Miss Delight, you poor thing," she whispered, taking a step forward. "Are you lost?" Ethan took an involuntary step back. "I'm just looking for answers." Her head tilted further, an uncanny smile curling on her lips. "Oh, sweet thing. That's exactly what he said, too." A sickening creak sounded from behind Ethan. His blood turned to ice. He wasn't alone. "Oh, Miss Delight." The voice was smooth, rich, dripping with amusement. Ethan turned his head slowly. From the carousel, a tall figure unfolded himself from the shadows. A dapper, slender figure, dressed in a fine suit, with a head too long, too angular, his grin stretching far too wide across his porcelain face. Mr. Delight. His black-gloved hands flexed as if testing invisible strings. "Look at our guest, sister," Mr. Delight purred. "So curious, so eager to learn, just like you were." Miss Delight stiffened. For the first time, her eyes darkened. "You shouldn't be here," she whispered to Ethan, softer now. "You should go before—" Mr. Delight laughed. It was a terrible sound, like an orchestra tuning off key. Now, dear sister, that would be boring. We finally have someone to play with." The carousel roared to life. The lights flashed wildly as the room rumbled, the walls shifting like some kind of massive mechanical puzzle. Ethan stumbled back as giant puppet arms snapped out from the walls, reaching for him. Mr. Delight stepped forward, his grin widening impossibly. "Run, Ethan." Ethan didn't think, he ran. His feet pounded against the floor as the world twisted around him. The hallways were shifting, stretching into an endless labyrinth of mirrors and shadows. Behind him, Miss Delight's voice trembled. "You have to get out. You don't understand what he is." "Oh, dear sister." Mr. Delight's voice wrapped around Ethan's mind like silk. "I'm everything they made me to be." The walls ripped open. Ethan skidded to a stop, a dead end. His reflection stared back at him from dozens of warped, distorted mirrors. Mr. Delight emerged from the darkness. He didn't walk. He glided. His grin never faltered as his long fingers tapped the mirror beside him. "Do you know what makes me different, Ethan?" Ethan stared, his breathing ragged. What are you?" Mr. Delight sighed, almost disappointed. "I was never just a toy." The mirrors shattered, and Ethan fell into the abyss. Ethan felt himself plummeting into the abyss, the air rushing past his skin like icy knives. The darkness was endless, stretching far beyond anything his mind could comprehend. It wasn't just falling. It was sinking, being pulled into something deeper, something alive. Then in an instant he stopped. Not gently, not naturally. It was as if invisible hands had caught him, suspending him in midair. A sharp snap echoed around him, and suddenly he was standing. Ethan staggered, his vision swimming as the void around him morphed into something tangible. A room. No, a theater. He was standing on an ornate crimson stage, bathed in a spotlight. The rest of the room was pitch black, except for rows upon rows of empty seats, stretching into eternity. A hollow metallic clap rang out from the darkness. Ethan's blood ran cold. Oh, what a performance. From the shadows, Mr. Delight emerged. His long, angular frame moved too fluidly, his limbs elongating and shrinking as he stepped onto the stage. The fabric of his tailored suit rippled, shifting as though it wasn't fabric at all, but something alive. His grin stretched impossibly wide. And you didn't even rehearse, Ethan. I must say I'm delighted. Ethan's breathing was shaky, his mind screaming at him to run, but there was nowhere to go. He glanced around the stage, his eyes darting to the side. A red curtain stood to his left, slightly parted. If he could just snap. Ethan froze. Mr. Delight's long fingers snapped, and suddenly, Ethan couldn't move. It was like strings had been attached to his limbs, locking him in place. Mr. Delight tilted his head, watching him with those soulless, painted eyes. Oh, dear boy, do you know why you're here? Ethan clenched his teeth. Because your stupid game won't let me leave? Mr. Delight's grin widened. No. You're here because you were meant to be. The curtain behind Ethan rustled. He whipped his head around and froze. Standing just beyond the curtain was himself. Another Ethan, but not quite. This Ethan was wrong. His eyes were hollow. His face twisted into a grotesque, mocking version of Ethan's own expression. His movements were jerky like a broken puppet. And worst of all, he was smiling. The imposter Ethan stepped forward, his voice eerily identical to Ethan's own. Don't be scared, it whispered. It's just part of the act. Ethan's chest tightened, his heart slamming against his ribs. This wasn't real. This couldn't be real. He yanked against whatever force was holding him, but his limbs refused to obey. Mr. Delight chuckled. You see, dear Ethan, the Playtime Co experiments were never just about toys. He took a slow step forward, and as he did, the fake Ethan did too, mirroring him perfectly. It was about improvement. Another step. Another mirrored movement, replacing the flawed. Mr. Delight leaned down, whispering directly into Ethan's ear. With something better. And then, the strings snapped. Ethan stumbled forward, gasping as he regained control of his body. His legs burned, every muscle aching as if they had been forced into place for hours. He spun around. The fake Ethan was gone. So was Mr. Delight. The stage was empty. The spotlights flickered. And from somewhere in the shadows, laughter. Ethan ran. He tore through the endless hallways of the twisted theater, the walls shifting around him like a living maze. The laughter followed, growing louder, closer. He turned a sharp corner, his breath ragged, and skidded to a stop. Miss Delight stood in front of him, her painted face twisted with something between terror and sorrow. He's changing you, Ethan. Ethan's pulse pounded. What the hell does that mean? Miss Delight reached out, her porcelain fingers trembling. Run, before you forget who you are. A sharp ringing filled Ethan's skull. The walls blurred. And then, everything went black. Ethan's world collapsed into darkness. His mind felt like it was being stretched, twisted, rewritten. He couldn't tell which way was up or down, couldn't feel his limbs. Then, like a switch had been flipped, his vision returned. But something was wrong. Ethan stood in the middle of a brightly lit playroom. It was pristine. Too pristine. The walls were freshly painted, the floor spotless, shelves neatly lined with brand new, colorful toys. Children's laughter echoed through the air, faint and distant, but there were no children. Ethan's stomach twisted. He wasn't alone. A giant mirror stood at the far end of the room, and in its reflection, himself. But just not quite. His reflection wasn't mirroring him. Ethan raised his hand. The reflection did not. It just stared back at him. The fake Ethan's eyes were hollow. An unnatural smile stretched too wide across his face. Then it blinked. Ethan didn't. You're getting better. the reflection whispered. Ethan's blood ran cold. "Who are you?" he whispered back. The reflection cocked its head. "I'm you, just improved." A chilling, familiar laugh echoed through the room. Ethan's head snapped to the side. Mr. Delight was standing in the corner, watching him. "Isn't it wonderful?" he purred. "You're finally becoming what you were meant to be." Ethan stumbled back. His breathing was ragged. "You're lying." Mr. Delight sighed, shaking his head like a disappointed father. "Oh, Ethan, I don't lie. I only tell you what you refuse to accept." He gestured to the reflection. "You're not running from me. You're running from yourself." Ethan felt his mind splintering. No, this isn't real." He spun around, looking for an exit. The playroom was gone. He was standing on a stage again. Spotlights burned down on him. The mirror stood before him, the fake Ethan now grinning from ear to ear. Mr. Delight appeared behind the reflection, placing a gloved hand on its shoulder. "It's time, Ethan." The reflection stepped forward, and Ethan realized he couldn't move. His limbs locked in place, his lungs burned. The fake Ethan reached out, and as its fingers touched Ethan's chest, a horrible pulling sensation tore through his body. His mind screamed, his vision blurred, and then everything shattered. Ethan collapsed onto a cold metal floor. His body was his again, his hands, his arms, they obeyed him. The air was thick, damp, filled with the scent of old machinery and decay. He was back in the ruins of Playtime Co. A mechanical whirring sound made him snap his head up. Miss Delight was kneeling beside him. Her painted porcelain face was cracked, her hands trembling. Her voice was barely above a whisper. "You're still you, for now." Ethan's heart pounded. What the hell happened to me? Miss Delight stood, looking toward the darkness beyond them. "He tried to replace you." Ethan followed her gaze. A shadow stood in the distance. His shadow. But it wasn't his anymore. It was still smiling, watching, waiting. And Mr. Delight's voice whispered from the darkness, "See you soon, Ethan."